Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did a live unboxing here on the channel of the laptop we're about to look at here today, and it's a pretty good one. It's the Asus VivoBook Pro 15 OLED, brand new for 2024. And if you didn't catch that live unboxing, I'll put a link to the replay in the description below. You don't want to miss it because we go over a lot of stuff there. But what really attracted me to this laptop is the fact that you're getting a great price to performance ratio. That's right, you're not breaking the bank. But what do you get for your money? Well, you're getting an OLED display. That's a big check mark right there. You're getting the Meteor Lake processor, a brand new processor here for 2024 that has pretty good performance, and it also has great efficiency, great battery life. We'll talk about that soon. And it also has a discrete GPU, the RTX 3050. Now you might be saying, well, RTX 3050, that's not going to be very powerful. Well, it's enough to give you a nice boost in terms of the graphics to do some things like 4K video editing. You could do some gaming on it. Of course, it's not going to blow you away like a 4060, 4070, 4080, or even a 4090, but it definitely does give you a nice little boost. It's got an all-metal design with a military-grade rating, so it's definitely durable. And it has a really nice look to it. It's got an excellent keyboard and touchpad. It even has the Asus dial pad that we've seen on other more high-end laptops from Asus. So we're gonna get into it and more in this review, why I think this is a great value proposition, but they're not skimping on high-end features. We're gonna get into it right now. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the Asus VivoBook Pro 15 OLED, brand new for 2024. Coming up. Now, before we get to the unit itself, I just want to let everyone know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by Asus. I'm not being sponsored by Asus. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Asus is not getting copy approval. That means they're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this unit is on loan from Asus, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. Now, if you caught my live unboxing, you knew that the price was very good. In fact, there was a sale going on over at Best Buy for $250 off at $1,049.99. The regular price, of course, is $1,299.99, and that's for the model with the 16 gigabytes of RAM, a terabyte of storage, and the Intel Core Ultra 7 155H. But there is another model that comes with 2 terabytes of storage, 24 gigabytes of RAM, and a Core Ultra 9 185H. That one was on sale for $1399.99. That was $100 off the original $1,500 asking price. Again, for the latest pricing, check out the link in the description below. Even without the sale, I think you're getting a lot of bang for the buck with this VivoBook line. Let's just get it out of the box. What do you say? Okay, a little bit of heft on it. Again, 1.9 kilograms or a little over 4 pounds or whatever. But, you know, it's a 15-inch laptop. You do get your documentation from Asus, some warranty information, yada, yada, yada. You know the drill with that stuff. And then let's see what's in this section here. So we get our power charger. It should be a little bit of heft on it here, yeah. And this one is going to be a 200-watt baby. So this is a 200-watt power charger. Barrel pin connection here. It's not USB Type-C. So this gives you 200 watts of juice. A little bit of heft on it. We're going to keep that out. We're going to get a measurement of the weight. And here we go. Very understated, a nice, looks like it's a pretty nice build quality here so far. Very little flex. Now this is metal. This is cold to the touch. This part is metal. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think this is all metal, if I'm not mistaken. So that's good. Good news on that front. Yeah, that is easily opened with one finger. So with just the unit alone, you're looking at 1.941 kilograms. So pretty close to what they're saying. 4 pounds, 4.5 ounces all in. And then with the power charger here and the power cord, you're looking at 2.511 kilograms, and that would be 5 pounds, 8.6 ounces. So a little bit of heft to tote around with you. There's no doubt about it. Okay, let's check out the port selection. On the left side is a USB Type A port. It's a 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port. And then next to that is a full-size SD card reader. Now, the cards do stick out about halfway when inserted. So when you are not using it, I would recommend taking it out, putting it into the pocket in your bag. You don't want to break it off on anything. You don't want to lose it. So just make sure that is taken out. But I love having a full-size SD card reader. Now, moving over to the right side, you get two USB Type-C ports. Now, the first one is a USB 3.2 Gen 2 that supports display out and power delivery. And next to that is a Thunderbolt 4 port that also supports display and power delivery. Now, next to that is another USB Type-A port, 3.2 Gen 1. And then you get an HDMI 2.1 TMDS port, a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack is also on that side. And you get your RJ45 gigabit Ethernet port. Of course, I love having that here. And you get your power port in, or your DC in, I should say. And that is a pretty good port selection overall. Now, one little nitpick, I'd like to split up those USB-C ports, one on each side, but not a big deal here. I think the overall port selection is quite good. Now, here's something you don't see every day. That's right, your eyes are not deceiving you. That is a SODIMM slot. That's something we don't normally see here in 2024. Now, this unit has 16 gigabytes of DDR5 memory running at 5600 megahertz and in dual channel mode. Now, you can get this with 24 gigabytes, of course, as an option over at Best Buy, as I showed you earlier, along with more storage as well. Now, speaking of the storage, there are two M.2 SSD slots. There are 2280 slots, and of course, my 1 terabyte unit that is included with this unit, of course, has some pretty good reads and writes. They're not the fastest, but they certainly are fast enough what you need this laptop to do. I've had no issues as far as that is concerned. And having the two SSD slots means that if you need to expand out storage later on, you need more storage, you have that option to go yourself to save some money. And that's really good here in 2024. And we're looking at a Wi-Fi 6E Bluetooth combo card that is slotted in. What does that mean? Well, you could actually change it out yourself. If you want to get the Wi-Fi 7, making it a little bit more future-proof, you can, but the Wi-Fi 6E and the Bluetooth combo card that is here in this review unit is working perfectly fine. No issues with either the Wi-Fi or the Bluetooth. Okay, let's talk about the display, and it's an OLED display, and I like it at this price point. That's good. It's a 15.6-inch display with a full HD resolution. That's 1920 by 1080, and that means it does have a 16:9 aspect ratio, a little bit of a throwback. One of the benefits of 16:9, I have to admit, is the fact that you won't have any black bars on the top and the bottom when consuming media. That is optimized for 16:9, of course, but when you're doing work, you'll see less on the display. It won't be quite as good as a 16:10 or a 3:2 aspect ratio that we're used to on some of the laptops in recent times. But 16:9 does have its benefits. Like I said, watching movies on it has been very good. And as with any OLED display, you get the really deep blacks, the super vibrant colors, the really high contrast. It's all there. And it has excellent coverage of the color gamut. It is color accurate. So if you're going to do content creation in Lightroom, Photoshop, video editing in DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, this certainly can get the job done. Now, as far as screen brightness, the claim brightness here is 400 nits standard dynamic range. I actually measured above that, 407 nits, and it has a peak brightness when watching HDR of 600 nits. So that is pretty good here, especially for this caliber of display. I'm really liking what I'm seeing here. Now, a couple of things to note about this display. It is a non-touch display, and it does have a glossy display. So if you're going to be in direct sunlight, you may have some issues with glare and reflections, and it all depends, of course, on your lighting conditions. But my overall takeaway is, wasn't the most glossy display out there, so it wasn't too much of an issue, and it certainly gets bright enough. And as with any OLED display, there are things you need to be aware of. One of them is, of course, screen burn-in down the road might be an issue, although I have not really had any kind of issues with the screen burn-in, especially in these Asus laptops. They do have some special software they do bake into this, and of course, in the settings, you can control a lot of that, and I like that. So that helps preserve this OLED display and helps prevent screen burn-in. And of course, that is one thing you need to be aware of. And as the other thing to be aware of is there is screen flickering, or PWM, that they use here. So for those that are sensitive to that, you might have some issues. I'm not sensitive to it, but I just wanted to point that out. But my overall takeaway is this is a pretty nice display. Yes, it's not 4K, it's not 16:10 aspect in terms of the ratio, but it does have that OLED greatness here, and I think it overall shines on this laptop. So this is the camera on the Asus VivoBook Pro 15 OLED here for 2024. And what I love about this is the fact that this does have a 5 megapixel camera. I'm actually shooting this in 1440p video in the, of course, Windows camera app. But of course, what do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality? A couple things to note. This is an IR camera. That means you can log in with face recognition with Windows Hello. There is a shutter switch, or physical shutter switch, a slider above the camera for more security and privacy. I like
like that. What do you think about it? Let me know. Now, of course, this does have an NPU. That's a neural processing unit. What does that mean? Well, it means it's going to help with the AI effects. Yes, this does have AI effects. You have all that, of course, we're going to show you in a moment. But again, what do you think about this camera? Now, because this does have the AI effects, that means you get the auto framing. So if I go out of frame here, it's going to keep me in frame, and it actually does a pretty good job here, pretty responsive. You also have the eye contact. That's pretty standard fare here for this AI effects. And then you have the background blur. Now, this is the portrait blur, and I think it does a reasonably good job here. And then, of course, you have the standard blur, okay? Just give you a messy background. This is a great way to hide all that. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments section below.
All right, let's talk about the keyboard, and it's actually a really good one. It has those chiclet style keys that Asus is known for, and what's really particularly good about it is the key travel. It's really good, and the feedback is very good as well. The overall tactility was excellent, and I felt like it was very comfortable for typing out long documents, emails, and the like. Now, for those number crunchers, you do get a numeric keypad, so that's always a benefit for those that need that, but one of the consequences of that is it moves everything off center in terms of that trackpad, but not a big deal. You get acclimated pretty quickly. About an hour or so, I didn't really notice it all that much. But the backlight worked very well. I thought against these dark keys, that white LED really shines through, and again, it allows you to get work done in a dark room or a dimly lit environment. That worked really well. Now, as far as the touchpad, it's a pretty nice touchpad, very responsive when it comes to scrolling, doing all the gestures. You know, it's not a haptic touchpad, but at this price point, I'm not expecting it, but it worked overall pretty well. And now, as far as something pretty interesting here, it does have the Asus dial, and that allows you to change the brightness, adjust the volume and stuff like that. It also works in the Adobe suite of applications as well. Could be contextual there, but I think it's okay. I don't use it all that much, but for those that might be creative and want to use it there, it's there if you need it. Now, this is a pretty interesting laptop, 15 inches, of course, with a discrete GPU, the RTX 3050. Now, if that sounds familiar, I actually just did the LG Gram Pro 16 OLED. That has the same processor, although that had more RAM, and it also had the RTX 3050, but there is a difference between the two. One has 95 watts of power, the other one has 45 watts of power, so that means that you're getting more power in a cheaper price here with this VivoBook over the Gram Pro 16 OLED, although there are some benefits of being in a much lighter laptop with that Gram Pro 16. That's pretty interesting. And as you can see, the single core, multi-core score is actually a little bit better on the VivoBook Pro. So that's a pretty interesting result. And it got a better OpenCL score. That tests the GPU performance, getting 62,681 versus 52,801. And that's attributable to the fact that this is fed 95 watts of power to that RTX 3050 versus that 45 watts. Now, the Cinebench 2024 had a similar result here, better single core, better multi-core, and better GPU performance, and at a significantly lesser price. Check out that $2,200 or so versus $1,050 on sale. That's a big deal, folks. And as far as the 3D Mark scores, the Time Spy score was better, the Firestrike score was better, and that's attributable again to the fact that this has 95 watts of TGP or power fed to that RTX 3050 versus 45 watts on the same discrete GPU. They both did the passing score on the Time Spy stress test, so that's good news. But again, at this price point, you really can't fault Asus here for bringing a lot of value here to the table. But please temper your expectations when it comes to this RTX 3050. It's not going to be as powerful as a 4060, 4070, 4080, or of course, even 4090. Playing AAA titles on their highest settings, probably not in the cards for the most part, but you can get some very playable frame rates on some of the more popular titles if you play around with some of the settings. Again, it is a step up over Iris Xe, there's no doubt about it. A step up over the Intel Arc graphics and even the integrated 780M graphics you get from AMD. So just temper your expectations, of course. And great news when it comes to the Time Spy stress test, as I mentioned, scoring 99.3%, a passing score, meaning it detected pretty much no thermal throttling under load. Now, when it comes to the surface temperatures above the keyboard, below the display where the heating vents are, reaching 50, 51 degrees Celsius, which is noticeable, although where you place your fingers on the keyboard, never getting overly hot. Now, there were a hot spot here or two on the underside, as you see here, reaching 51, 52 degrees Celsius, so that's something to be aware of as far as those surface temperatures. Now, when it comes to fan noise, this is something you're going to have to contend with when you're putting it into heavy load, reaching a very high decibel level here, 58, 59 decibels, which which is a pretty loud number here in terms of having to contend with fan noise. So I'd like to see that lower. But having said that, in the balance mode, when you're doing everyday tasks, it really wasn't much of an issue, remained relatively quiet. But where this laptop it really shines here is going to be battery life. It did very well, better than expected here. Now, it does have a 75 watt-hour battery, getting 9 hours and 17 minutes on the PC Mark X Modern Office test. It wasn't quite as good as the LG Gram Pro. That had a 90 watt-hour battery, so I'm not surprised there. But 9 hours and 17 minutes for a laptop of this caliber is pretty good. And the video playback was very good, 11 hours and 26 minutes. So very good overall endurance when it comes to battery life on the VivoBook Pro 15 OLED. Now, as far as audio is concerned, you're looking at stereo speakers, they're Harman Kardon tuned, and it does have Dolby Atmos to help with the spatial audio. That's good, especially at this price point. Now, I think it gets pretty loud, pretty decent sound. It could use a little bit more bass. The mids were decent. I would think they're pretty good for what this laptop is at this price point. Again, I've heard better sound, of course, out of more expensive laptops, but for this price, I'll take it. They're pretty good, but I want you to be the judge. You let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now, let's give it a listen. Okay, let's wrap it all up. What do I think about the Asus VivoBook Pro 15 OLED here for 2024? And there's a lot to like here. It's got a pretty nice 15.6-inch Full HD OLED display. It's bright, it's colorful. It's got an all-metal design. It's pretty durable with a military standard 810H rating. It's got pretty good battery life here. It's got decent stereo speakers with Dolby Atmos. It's got an excellent keyboard and trackpad with dial pad for those that like that. It's got two M.2 SSD slots. If you want to upgrade the storage, you can. User upgradable RAM, which is a dying breed here in 2024. I like that. It's one slot. The rest is soldered in. It's got a very good price to performance ratio, and it's got plenty of ports, which you gotta love. Now, the negatives, of course, there's no 4K option. It's a 60 hertz display, no higher refresh rate option either. It's a 16:9 aspect ratio. While very good for consuming media, it's not the best for productivity and Word documents, spreadsheets, and the like. It's not going to be as tall. Noticeable fan noise under load. It can get very warm under load, and it does have some screen wobble when typing. But I don't think those are deal breakers, especially at this price point. If you can get this on sale, you're getting a lot of bang for the buck, a very good value proposition from Asus, and they are giving you some pretty high-end features at this great price. So my overall takeaway is the VivoBook Pro 15 OLED here for 2024 is a definite bargain, especially for those that want high-end features.
So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. And don't forget to check out my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.